Hi everyone, this is Vinay Deshpande. Welcome to the series of conversation showing up in life with Vinay. Today I'm speaking with Prashant Nikam. Prashant personifies what I call curious explorer and a lifelong learner. Why? Because he has not only 5 degrees in 5 different fields, but then after serving for 20 years with Government of India, he started his own startup in AI and analytics. And along with that, his quest for spiritual exploration continues over the last 8 to 10 years. So I'm happy to introduce Prashant in this conversation. Let's go and meet him. Hi Prashant, good morning.
Hi, Vinay. Good to see you.
Yeah, after ages.
Yes. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing? Where are you now?
I'm in my office. It's a holiday otherwise, but it's a working day for us. And I can see you at your beautiful home.
Yeah, and just to make sure, so you are in your office in Mumbai.
In Mumbai, yes. I'm in Mumbai. Yeah.
Right, right. No, I mean, first of all, thank you so much for agreeing to have this conversation with me. I was really looking forward to talk to you. Your journey has been so fascinating, and I'm really, really looking forward to uncover that, to learn from you. And at the same time, I was thinking, like, where should I start? There is so much to talk, and at the just to give a context, so that you also understand where I'm coming from, is, as you know, I'm working with people who are to show up in their lives. And when I say show up in their lives, it's like we all go through the change in our lives. And it is really important that we kind of manage that change well so that we can thrive through the change and have a better impact in the life, in the society, or whatever we are doing it. So that's the purpose with which I'm working with different people. And when I think of change and when I think of journey, I thought you are the one of the best person to talk about it because of yeah, I mean you did your electronics engineering, then you cracked the civil service exam and you worked with the government of India. While doing that, you went and you did your management accounting, certified management accounting. Then you did your master's, um, and then I think you also did your master's in public policy. And if that's not enough, then you plunged into your own startup. So
Yes, that's true.
yeah, it's a journey. So I'm just thinking wherever you want to start, but my really curiosity is taking me like, what is it that is making you not to be at one, or is it like there is not enough for me to make myself fulfilled, satisfied, or is it curiosity? What is it?
I yeah. So I think it's a nature of life itself. I think the more you know or you think you know life, the more you realize that you don't know, isn't it? The people who are most ignorant, they are most certain about their life, and the people who are maybe more well-read or have been pondering about life, they seem less sure about life. So my life has been, in that sense, yeah, a lot of changes, but because there was this inner desire for exploration. And I think that desire for exploration led me to do the things I did. First, there was a desire to explore the outside world because that seemed very mystical, and uh, and then there was a desire to explore the inner world that seemed even more mystical. you know. So whatever changes have happened, I can't even say that I have no. I am the one who have done who has done all this. I think things have happened to me, and I reckon most people would agree with me. That lots of times, lots of things we do. in hindsight, we think that, hold on, was it me or was I just the medium for that, for the experience? So yeah, in that sense, it's been exploration for me. And I think through that exploration, I've tried to um, find a deeper meaning to life. To some, it may seem very chaotic, but to me, it seems there's a great order in whatever happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said a very important word there. It seems chaotic. And at times, in fact, we don't know exactly what's happening. And some of the changes we don't even plan for, or we never thought about it, and then suddenly happen. And it feels like, oh, why is it happening to me? Yeah, and it is chaotic. So, and that's why when you said it feels chaotic, at that point of time, actually, what was going, for example, in your mind, or how did you take those in your stride, or if it was good as well as if it was not necessarily good.
Mhm. So, just like life's journey begins, initially one tries to look for security of family. And whenever we are kids, we look at security of family. When we grow up, we look at security of love or job or the place you work. So we are constantly seeking security. And it's a nature of life, I think. That's what I have been trying to understand. Life is a mystery. It's a nature of life that every moment there is creation. Every moment there's a new life being born and old life being destroyed. Every moment, isn't it? So it is a very fallacious kind of a um, thought process we sort of grow up with. And I don't think we can blame ourselves also, because that's how we're conditioned. Because if you're not conditioned that way, then I think we would not grow into what we were meant to grow. So I think our conditioning is something that helps us grow. And then a point comes in life where we need to recondition our minds to understand life to its fullest. And that's when I think we begin to live life all over again. I think a simple journey of life is you're born, not once, but twice. One, you're born, and then second time you discover why you're born. And when you discover why you're born, I think that's the real birth of a person. But the journey is very, very, very long, sometimes difficult, sometimes arduous. So long as you understand it's all part of a grand plan, you can sort of move around the journey with more equanimity. And if you think that, why is all this happening to me, then you'll move around life feeling like a victim. So I think it so much depends on how you view yourself and how you view the things happening to you. Uh, that depends on your response to life, and that determines what you actually end up feeling about yourself and about your life. Sorry, I think I'm sounding very philosophical, but I think talking to you, I can't help but philosophy. Yeah, because we've had that long conversations in our childhood, in a young age. So I'm almost sort of taking off from where we left.
Exactly, like it's philosophical. There is this spirituality, what you're talking about. And I'm wondering how much is that part of you clash with more scientific and engineering, which is much more logical thinking, clash with any of that, studies that you did?
Yeah, thanks. Very interesting question. I think like I said, it's our own ignorance that we think things are clashing. Uh, Nature, our universe is a beautiful symphony. There's no clash ever. Everything is meant to happen the way it's meant to happen. Our our myopic view of life, we think it's a clash. And the earlier we understand that there's no clash, uh, the better it is for us. So earlier, yeah, as when I grew up, I was disdainful of anything spiritual, religious, um, thinking that I'm a very wise person and thinking that I need to have a scientific temperament and very rational outlook, and thinking that oh, now I have figured out life, amazing. And I think the moment you feel that or say that, I think universe, like a good parent, has its way of giving you a rap on your knuckles and making you understand that everything that you think you have can can be over in a moment. And then you sort of revisit your entire life. And that revisiting life, I think, is a start of a new journey. And then you realize, oh, there was no clash at all. But it's very easy for me to say that in a sentence. It was years and years of uh, you know going through the fire, thinking about things, listening to a lot of discourses. I must mention that I discovered Osho discourse along the way in 2010, and I think that really helped me. That really helped me understand life better, understand my follies, understand my myopic vision, and compelled me to rethink. And I think I would say that in the long journey, those discourses have played a very, very important part in my life. I won't say he has been the only one. After that, you also immerse yourself in many other spiritual traditions or activities. But yeah, but the start, I think the kick was given by Osho's discourse.
Mm.
So it helps, I think.
Do people have to go through pain and or have to have certain thing happen in life to really understand that, oh, it's not me who is who is in control?
Very good question again, Vinay. Very good question. The simple answer I have understood is no, not at all. You don't have to. But our conditioning is such that we seek security. And when we seek security in very fragile cocoons, which they are going to break because they're fragile. And so it's like you will not run away from your house or your prison, rather. Anyway, in a prison, you won't run away from a prison unless it's on fire. So you wait for the fire to get lit. I think people who engage in some sort of spiritual tradition, they are able to read the signs better, and then they take proactive steps. And so there's less pain or no pain at all. So if you're in sync, if you're in complete sync with the universe, ideally, these people, I think we call them enlightened souls. In a tradition, we've called them enlightened souls or great masters. One thing you can see in them that they live in bliss. Bliss reflects, their face radiates bliss. Right? Their life radiates bliss, which means they are in complete sync with the universe, right? And so they can read the signs. It's like they have Google Map of life, and they know how to maneuver that. People who can't, then I think depending on how adamant they are, the people who are very adamant in life, uh, and for them, I guess then they have to go through pain.
Mm.
Sometimes the pain can be very, very bad. Sometimes can be minor pain. But it depends on how adamant, and how adamant you are depends on your belief about what the world is. People who think that they are individuals here in the world, and their job is to win against the whole world, and the whole world is sort of conspiring to bring them down. and they have to fight with the world, fight with the boss, and fight with the everyone try to pull them down, and live in that constant fight or flight mode, are the ones I think who have to face the greatest pain.
I want to come to that purpose thing as you mentioned earlier. So how do you find what's my purpose?
Okay, to tell you honestly, I'm still in the process of finding the purpose. Um, I reckon it's not going to be easy to fully decipher, um, but I'm in the process, and I do engage in introspection, retrospection, and trying to sort of get guidance from great souls who are around me and who have lived this world before us, and they have documented, uh, they have given their guidance. So I do try to sort of read those signs. I have think I've got a sense of that, but I'm not entirely sure the purpose. But I think it's going to take a little more time. I only hope it doesn't take too long. But yeah, but I think the purpose, there are certain things which are standard. The purpose is, it always has to be about others. It cannot be about yourself. A life's purpose cannot be about yourself. Anything you do for yourself and wholly about yourself can't be your life's purpose, because that kind of life where you're focused entirely on yourself is going to be fraught with a lot of pain, and it'll be devoid of happiness. That much I've understood. I've understood this much, that we always get more happiness when we are giving, not when we're taking. So whether it's your family, uh, we work hard for our family, not for ourselves, isn't it? If you start working hard for yourself, how hard can you really work, isn't it? So your child or your wife or your parents, when you work harder, when you work hard and you know you're doing for them, you feel more happy. This is what I have understood about my life. That because for my own self, how much do I really need? What would motivate me to work very hard? What would motivate me to study 2, 3 degrees, take crazy risks, leave jobs? What do I need in life for self? Very little, isn't it? It has to be something, not me. It has to be something more.
You're right. And on that journey, actually, because I've worked with different people, and especially I've seen the younger generations who come and talk to me, and they say, yes, I've understood that. I feel like uh, it's typically like, oh, I want to save the earth, or I want to save the world, and that's my purpose. And suddenly they find that, but I don't have any impact in through what I'm doing in my work, whether it's a job or it's a self-employment, doesn't matter. But really, and then they feel disappointed. So my question is really, how can you bring these two things together? Because the purpose can be so big that suddenly you think there is no impact. I'm not really making any impact.
Yes. So my sense is, and I could be wrong here entirely, uh, people who often say that I want to save the world or save the earth, whatever, I'm not sure how much of that is really evolved out of their own life journey and how much of it is borrowed wisdom. I'm not sure, you know, because to come to a conclusion that I want to do this, it takes a lot of effort. Not effort. I mean, a lot of thinking, cogitation, life. You have to go through the fire of life to really understand. It's not something that, what looks good or what sounds good, or what you borrow from others' wisdom. that is never going to be a purpose. That can be a stated purpose. That this sounds good in interviews, in on your social media profile, but deep down, I think very deep down, it has to come from the very core of your being. I think a life purpose is something that is very difficult to understand. Very few people can really go there. So people who say they have a purpose is too big and then they're disappointed. I think it's a good start. All I would say is a good start. Then they have to think about why they're disappointed, right? What was lacking in the stated purpose and the actions? Are their actions and are their core beliefs, are is it in sync, right? Who knows? This is good start. Their own journey may become more rich when they start thinking about it. But what happens is typically they're like, oh no, I want to change the world, but the world is not letting me change, or the world is ruthless, the ruthless place. So I don't care about the world. So from being hyper optimist, they become, I think, pessimistic, and that hyper optimism was a little delusional in the first place, because if your life purpose is something that has to come from, it's a whisper of your soul. You can't hear in a noise. You have to hear it in the silence of your being. Not so easy.
So, because many times when we talk about that purpose, it's about, yeah, I want to change others to save the world. But the starting point is actually within ourselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what we are speaking, Vinay, has been said by so many people before us, isn't it? It's not rocket science, isn't it? It's just like the commonest common sense, if I could use that word. And yet it's so rare, and yet it's so profound, and yet it's not understood by so many people, isn't it?
Are there any specific method or something that really helped you, or rituals or whatever that really helped you, that you would?
Definitely. So I think what helped me was, actually, the starting point was Osho's discourse. Why it helped me is because it it silenced my mind. I think we live in a cacophony of our mind often, where we are governed by what others think of us, what the world cares about. There's so much of noise going on in the mind that we are not able to hear the whispers of our soul. So Osho's discourse started with getting my mind sort of at rest. Once the mind came to rest, then I engaged in meditation. I think if you ask me, what is the one thing which is most important for anybody's life? One thing. Okay, good health, all is fine. I think silent meditation, even for 5 minutes a day, I think it's very essential. And that is something which, if there's one takeaway from our conversation, it's please, if through your forum, if I can make that point, please try at least 5-10 minutes meditation. Try. It doesn't matter. It's not easy, but try. That is the start of life. Because unless you can listen to your soul speak, you'll never be satisfied.
Yeah. And if that's right or wrong, I don't know, but anything that you do which can silence your mind, which can completely and connect with yourself, so start with that. That's what I always say. It's because otherwise sometimes you people go into that, oh, but the meditation has to be like this and this, and I cannot sit and I cannot do. Yeah, so start somewhere where you can focus, you can connect with yourself and silence your mind.
Definitely. In fact, when I say meditation, I don't necessarily mean sitting under a tree and closing eyes. No. I mean, trying to be in a meditative state and whatever helps. If there are people who, when they paint, they go in a meditative state. Sometimes, we watch a movie and we almost get in the state where we feel one with you. We identify with the character so much that we feel we are part of the movie cast, isn't it?
Mm.
So anything that makes the chatter of your mind go down. Anything. It could be poetry, that could be music, that could be anything, painting. And for me, it was sitting in silence. That was what worked for me.
Mm.
Chanting is very good. Uh, so there's so many methods. But the method is not important. The will to look inwards is important in any form, in any way. We are so governed by the outside world that we have forgotten who the real master of our life is. It's us. But we think the master of our life is not us. It's the boss, society, peers, family, anything but us. So when you get into the habit of engaging some time with your own self, you understand that the real master is within you. And everything changes after that. After that, it's a journey. The first step is, I think, trying to be in a state of meditative bliss in some ways. That's a starting point. Unfortunately, Vinay, you mentioned earlier that do we have to go through pain? That's the point. Somehow, when there's pain, when there's suffering, you often close the doors outside and you often want to be alone. And so, pain and suffering are opportunities. If we can look at it as an opportunity, because that's an opportunity where you voluntarily want to switch off from the world. When you're very happy, you want to connect with the world. When you're in suffering, you want to switch off from your world. So suffering in that sense become an opportunity.
Mm.
That when this suffering has come as a wake-up call, why? What learning can I get out of this? And then in that space with your own self, you derive new insights about yourself. You derive new meaning to life. Often, life course changes often after a certain setback, shock. When somebody loses a job, that becomes an opportunity for a new life. That person didn't have to lose a job, right? He could have embarked on a new life anyway. And some people discover the beauty of their own life after crisis. So outer sufferings mostly are opportunities for reflection and opportunities for growth. But we feel victimized. Actually, we feel that, oh, it's us against the world, and like why is everybody conspiring against me? This boss anyways hates me, and my coworkers are anyway jealous of me. If that mindset continues, then the suffering will keep coming again and again and again until you finally decide that let me look inwards. Where am I going wrong?
Mm.
And then life becomes great for the person, isn't it?
And you used earlier the right word. You become liberated in that sense there. And because what I believe and I feel is when everything was going right, obviously, you are not thinking of changing it because you want to hold on to it. And that's where the fear starts coming in,
Yeah,
like, oh, what will happen if I lose it?
absolutely, absolutely. So, but then even when you are enjoying the run, part of you knows this is transient. somehow you know that I'm having a great time now, but I hope it lasts forever. So when you say, I hope it lasts forever, you know deep down that it will not last forever, isn't it? So you know that it's transient. So I think pleasure is transient, pain is transient. Both are transient, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
So when you're in pain, you're hoping that it gets over, the dark night gets over and a new dawn should be awaken. And when you're in pleasure, somehow you live in this disillusionment that, oh, all this pleasure came to me because I'm great myself. I'm very intelligent and I know how to influence people and our boss loves me and I have a rare talent. And that's why I'm enjoying all this. And then of course you realize in life that no, it wasn't only you, the other factors that helped you. And then yeah, then you suffer. I
Yeah.
told you, life's about learning from suffering.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're enjoying, it feels like, oh, the time is going so fast, so quickly. And when it's the other way around, and then it feels like it's never ending, it's forever.
Yeah, yeah. And I do want to add that I do have empathy with people who've gone through suffering. I do have empathy. I'm not sadist, but as long as people who don't go overboard in pleasure will not suffer too much in pain. It's the people who go overboard in pleasure are the ones who suffer deeply in pain.
Hmm.
So it's like that kind of spiritual disconnect has to be there. I feel. So, when you're going through pleasure, I'm going through pleasure, enjoy the moment, knowing that it may not last forever. So, there's a bit of a disconnect, there's a bit of a gap between you, the real you, and your experience and the world around. So, if you don't go overboard in pleasure, you'll not suffer too much in pain. That is, I think, that's what it is.
Yeah, I think in short, one sentence is like, don't get attached to it. All right.
True.
Mm.
That's a real thing. That's a real word. Yeah, absolutely.
While I was saying that, I felt inside in me that I'm getting attached to continue and our conversation. At the same time, I know probably we can continue again, but so quickly this time has flown, and probably we can stop here for this time at least, and but we'll continue again. So thank you so much for all the knowledge, wisdom, and experience that you shared with me.
Pleasure, Vinay. Pleasure talking to you as always. We've had some very long conversations in our youth also. It is a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you
Thank
for this
you.
opportunity.